Hello everyone, it's Omae and welcome back to the brand new video. Today we're going to be doing PKA Rodo level 200 using a really fun and powerful team that can probably handle up until level 230 at minimum. So I'm really impressed by this new Luffy. The things that you can do with him as the captain, running double Luffy, is absolutely monstrous. So this run here, as you can see, I have no bonuses, none of the Usopp to reduce enemy HP or anything like that. So this is the team right here. In the previous team where I showed you a very fast team that can get you up to about level 150, I used versus Kaido, but now we're using the other half of the unit versus Yamato, which is kind of very similar. Instead, you don't have that drawback of only being able to use 3 specials on the final stage. So the idea here is that we are using Chopper's special twice in the quest, thanks to the cooldown reduction from Luffy's captain effect. Here, if we have 2 Elbaf units, which is both of our Luffys, then every time a Straw Hat Pirate uses their special, everyone gets 2 turns of cooldown. And of course, running double Luffy captain means we get 4 turns of cooldown every time a Straw Hat Pirate uses their special. This excludes Luffy, of course. So this is super massive because Chopper's very helpful for both stage 4 and stage 5. Robin and Koala is great for removing the enemy barrier, which increases our damage dramatically. We really want to remove the barrier because we need to hit at least 4 perfect strikes to activate the tap timing based attack boost from Elbaf Luffy's special. And we are of course running 5 Straw Hat Pirate tag units, meaning we get access to the damage reduction from Luffy's special and also the color affinity. We will then buff the color affinity up to 4x using both of our Luffy superclasses. So Luffy, it's very important that you have those Straw Hat Pirate tags. Not only will you be able to allow to survive the death hit using the damage reduction, you'll get the color affinity of 4x, and you'll also get access to the damage reduction based attack boost from Yamato, since we have that massive 80% damage reduction. We also have the super tandem of Yamato, which is quite helpful here. So make sure you have Yamato limit broken so that she has access to the super tandem function. Besides her special just giving us Wano orbs, which is very important for the final stage, the enemy does have an orb-based damage reduction, which Wano orbs are not affected by. So very important that she provides that. But then she also gives us a 3x attack boost, which is great for our striker units. And then also gives us a damage reduction based attack boost, which is a 1-for-1. Every 10% of damage reduction is 0.1x increase in your damage, so it's very, very powerful. And then we also get the super tandem, which will give the enemy increased damage taken. Even at level 1, it's 1.1x, which you might think is extremely weak, but that is going to increase our damage by essentially 2x because of this Bonnie support, which will give us a conditional attack boost of 1.75x from a support character, by the way. 1.75x conditional boost for increased damage taken, which will be procced by Yamato's super tandem. So very important that you have the Yamato limit broken. You don't need the super tandem maxed whatsoever. Momonosuke, this is one of the most underrated legends supports in the game. He just gives adjacent characters Wano orbs, so this is great because Yamato only gives the left row Wano orbs, so our captain Luffy will still have a terrible orb. He'll do basically no damage, but that Momo support allows both of our Luffys to be doing damage. Besides that, this Nami is super important because on stage 4 we need to use Chopper's special, but we do get 2 turns of special rewind. This essentially just gives Chopper the cooldown he needs. She is a treasure map rare recruit, so you could have pulled her on the anniversary Sugafest. Then we have the free-to-play Sanji, which you can farm his copies on the extra island. And then we have this Jumbe support, who is available from the medal exchange in your Sugafest tavern. So just go to your tavern, medal exchange, and the amazing part about this is that Jumbe only costs 1 Sugafest medal. So if you've ever done 1 single pull, you'll have enough Sugo medals to buy this Jumbe, and then of course feed him some support medals from Kizuna and then max him out. So he's a great option for that attack down reduction. Now let's talk about the ship. It's quite important to hit perfects on the final stage as well as stage 3 because we are relying on that tap timing based attack boost to give us an extra 2x damage. So it's important that you hit 4 perfects. It doesn't have to be in a row or anything. However, it will really help you to use the regular Sunny Go ship. I don't have it maxed, But as long as you have it level 12 with the first modification, so you don't need that second modification. As long as you have the first one, then this will be the best ship for you to use. Yes, it doesn't give cooldown, so you have to store one extra turn, but that's fine because it will make it easier to hit perfects with this ship. Whereas with the Grantosaurus ship, not only is it an expensive ship to get, it costs 20,000 treasure map tickets, but also it will not make your perfects easier to hit. So it's quite important that you rather use the 1000 sunny. Also, if you are using the Grantosaurus, you need the second modification. So I highly recommend using the regular 1000 sunny instead. It'll just make it way easier. If you don't have either of those ships, then use a ship like Whale Sharks to make it easy to hit perfects, and then remove these supports here, and then use Arena free-to-play unit Franosuke on your Robin and Koala. This will also get around all turns of the attack down. The main issue here is that we don't have a chain additive buff from the Sabo support anymore. So those are the options based on what ships you have and don't have. And if you don't have the Sabo for the chain additive buff, you can also use either the Mr. 1 support. You can also use the Mr. 0 support here, which is a bit weaker. But there is a very good chance you have the Sabo. He's actually in his Super Evolved state. In his 6-star form, before Super Evolution, he's a Strength Sabo. So don't be fooled. Even if you don't see this particular Sabo in your box, it's very likely you have the un-Super Evolved version, which has the exact same support ability. So that's about it. Basic rundown of the team. I'll be using the Grantosaurus ship, and it's only about 2 to 3 turns of stall. It's very, very fast and easy. And I'll of course be using the level 99 Luffy's as the captain, no level limit break upgrades, and we are running these sockets. Make sure you have the bind reduction sockets maxed, as well as the charge special 1 max. Those are really important. One extra thing, make sure you start off in the Robin form of Robin and Koala, because in the Koala form, it's not a Straw Hat Pirate Tag unit, which means you won't get the buffs from Luffy's special. You won't get the cooldown at the start of the quest, the 2 turns of cooldown from each Luffy. So it will make it way harder if you don't have the Robin's form to start in, right? So make sure you do that. So stage 1 here, we'll have essentially 2-3 mobs here. We can just kill them off. We can do our stalling on stage 2. But of course, as I said, if you are using the 1000 Sunny ship, you will have to stall 1 extra turn. The main indicator here is Chopper being 3 turns of cooldown remaining. Once he's 3 turns remaining on his cooldown, then we can move on to the next stage. So no matter what your situation is, stall until Chopper has 3 turns remaining. Then you can move on to stage 3. So for me, it's only about 2 turns of stall here. I do have my Chopper limit break expanded, so that gives him a bit of extra cooldown, and the Tesoro ship does give 1 turn of cooldown, which the 1000 Sunny does not. Stage 3 here, we are going to burst through the enemy's defensive effects. Since the enemy only has a times 10,000 defense up and a 90% damage reduction, it's very burstable, right? So we are going to be using the special of one of our Luffy's. It really doesn't matter who it is. Then we can use both of these superclass abilities. This gives us a 1.2x increase in damage for our strikers, as well as a massive buff for our color affinity. This also guarantees matching orbs on our Luffy's, as well as a tandem orb, which will allow us to activate the super tandem function. So at this point, just hit a perfect on Yamato and then on your Straw Hat Pirate units. It's very important that you first hit with Yamato, because if you hit with your Straw Hat Pirates first and then on Yamato, it'll break the super tandem and you won't get that extra damage. So it's very important, first hit with Yamato, then your Straw Hat Pirates all together with their super tandem ability. Also, it is quite beneficial to hit perfects here, since it will give you the damage reduction, the tap timing based attack boost from Luffy's special, which is another 2x damage. So we have guaranteed orbs here, no RNG involved. Let's hit perfects. And obviously it'll be much easier if you have the 1000 Sunny. But as you can see, it's a very easy kill there. And we still have another Luffy remaining, so you really don't need the expansion on Luffy for those extra stats. Stage 4 here, we get poison orbs, paralysis orbs, 6 turns of despair after sockets, a 10 turn remove SFX, as well as 3 turns of special rewind, going down to 2 turns after your preemptive. Nami reduces Chopper's cooldown, so we can use his special. This will give us basically everything. removed, except the blindness remove SFX. That will stay there. Since it is 10 turns, Chopper only removes 5, but don't be worried, on the final stage we will use Chopper special again. This will give the final turns of remove SFX removed. As you can see there, when you do remove or reduce poison and paralysis orbs will get converted into matching type slots. Very, very important that Chopper does that. And then of course removes the despair. We still have the color affinity from Luffy that will last until the final stage, and then we can use both of our Sanjis. This is very important for the cooldown of Chopper. Since we have 2 Albaf units on the crew, being both of our Luffys, when Sanji uses a special, Chopper gets 4 turns of cooldown. So we use Sanji special twice here, and Chopper will be essentially ready here. He will be ready by the time we reach the final stage. We will use Sanji again on the final stage, because one really cool thing about this ability that Luffy has for cooldown reduction is that the unit themselves that activates the special gets 4 turns of cooldown back. So Sanji, even though his cooldown is 10 turns on his special, we essentially get 4 turns of that removed, so we can use him again on the final stage. So Sanji is going to be used 3 times here. On the final stage, it's important for giving us a chain boundary. But that's about it here. We can literally do nothing else, and it's a very easy kill. Just hit with your Luffys. Yep, super easy kill. And then on the final stage, Rodo will have a 3-turn barrier for goods. He'll also have a 2-turn damage now, a 3-turn orb-based damage reduction for tandem, recovery, and int, as well as giving us 6 turns of bind after sockets to our top and bottom row, a 7-turn attack down, going down to 6 with the ship, down to 5 with the Jumbe support, and down to 0 with Chopper special. The bind reduction from the Bonnie support isn't actually really that needed. Chopper does remove 6 turns of bind in his special. And then we have block orbs here. It's also quite important that your Sanji is not next to Yamato. The reason is that Yamato gives themselves a tandem orb, which allows us to perform super tandem, but Sanji will change that into a type orb, which will completely sabotage our damage. But even if your Yamato is next to Sanji, it's really not that big of a train smash. All you need to do is first use Sanji special and then Yamato. So we get our chain boundary. We have a chain additive buff from the Sabo support, so our chain is looking really good. Remember, we also got the increased damage taken conditional attack boost from the Bonnie support, and then we can use our Robin and Koala for the barrier reduction and an orb boost. So very helpful here, being a very productive crew member. Then we can use the special of Yamato. Also, let's just look at this. It's so beautiful, bro. This is like a 3-year-old unit, by the way. Look at how amazing this special animation is. One thing I love about team building is just getting to learn more about these older characters that most people don't use nowadays. I mean, this unit's still really powerful. And then of course Momo activates, giving Luffy the Wano orb, which is super important. We do lose a bit of HP, but with our massive damage reduction from Luffy, it's really no big deal. We already still have the color affinity from Luffy activating on stage 3, but this is still important to activate for removing the damage null, the giving us the tap timing based attack boost, and the chain growth rate buff. Also really cool animations for a end of turn legend, an end of month batch legend, should I say. There's no purpose in activating the second Luffy. Now all you need to do is tap with Sanji, Chopper, and then Yamato. Your super tandem will be activated. If Yamato's at level 1 super tandem, I think it'll only activate after hitting with Robin and Koala, but that's really not that big of a deal. And then of course Luffy will end it off. So very important that we hit our perfects here. So let me focus up. Messed up with Sanji. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We should still be able to kill, but you'll essentially get 2x more damage. But remember, we don't have to hit those perfects in a row, so our final Luffy will still get that tap timing based attack boost. And our first Luffy there, we hit a perfect, so on his final combo hit, we actually get access to that tap timing based attack boost. I need to talk about these buffs in like a separate video, because it's very confusing how they can work, especially with crit. And when they talk about the last strike, the final combo hit, etc., it can be very confusing, especially for newer players. So I will talk about these things in a separate video, but you'll do way more damage if you actually hit all of your perfects there, because your first Luffy will get access to the tap timing base attack boost for all 4 of his combo hits, not just the final one. But yeah, pretty good damage. And that is level 2 cleared, level 200 cleared. So now we get access to another 2 super cola, which is quite nice, right? So beyond this, don't really worry about getting higher clear level. I do think you get better drops on the map, and also more Heim turtles. So I will still see how far I can go, but for most people, this is where you should stop, right? So I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully my explanation of the team was good enough. I'm very proud of this one, and I'm quite excited about how amazing Kaido versus Yamato is. I did recently pull them only, so it's fun to use my new toy, right? So hopefully more legends I can do these experimental things for. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What's your favorite part about the team? Did it work for you? If you need any replacements, I mean, it's gonna be tough. I basically mentioned everything related to these ships and replacing those supports. So I mean, I don't think any of the sailors are replaceable besides Sanji, and he's the only one that's like free to play. So really not much of a replacement for this team. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. It's been Omae. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.